professional. Now, what kind of professional? You heard about that book, Robert Griffin III, that guy, or as you call him, that Bama, is going to put out Surviving Washington. I don't know if you saw, was it Instagram or Twitter? His post where he was like hyping the book up to talk about.
It was on Facebook. I saw it on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Facebook. So when you talk about the actual, like, surviving Washington, like we talked about the dysfunction, how he survived this dysfunction, and the sexual harassment, how I don't know if it was from he experiencing the sexual harassment from as it happened, or was he the victim of sexual harassment? I'm not clear on that. He was really ambiguous on that. But nevertheless, he's pushing a book and he's doing that. Now, mind you, this is the same guy, was it this year? When he campaigned to go back to Washington?
September.
There you go.
September, he was campaigning to play for this organization.
Yes.
Just a few months ago.
Yes. And this same guy, a few months later, put out a book. Now, I don't know if it's sour grapes or with that regard, but it seemed like it's been a long time in the making. He's on TV now. He's doing analyst work for ESPN. Actually did a good job of being a color commentator for the ACC championship game, believe it or not. He actually did a good job. But now he's peddling this book. It's coming out soon. It's already it's on Simon & Schuster website if you're interested.
And they're doing pre-orders for the book. It doesn't come out until I think the spring of next year.
Correct.
Oddly enough, I think it comes out the summer of next year, just as training camp is starting to open up. The timing of all of this is going to be very interesting when that book drops.
And here's the blurb on the website. It says, and I'm quoting here, a one-of-a-kind, in-depth memoir from former franchise savior Robert Griffin III, detailing the shocking mismanagement.
Savior?
And toxic, I'm just reading this, and toxic culture within the most dysfunctional professional football team in America. Wow. Now, before I turn over to you, brother, because I know you're a Washington football team fan, I must say, for those of you who want a good laugh, go to YouTube and search for Fred Smoot RG3. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I'll just give it the skinny. I would rather have you guys check it out because I'm going to ruin it. Because it's not going to be near as funny coming out of my mouth as it did out of Fred Smoot's mouth. But just think of this one phrase. Bobby Three Stacks.
Bobby Three Sticks. Bobby Three Sticks.
Right. I'm sorry, that's Stacks. Bobby Three Sticks.
Yeah.
Bobby Three Sticks.
I've already confessed several times today because a lot of people are starting to see it now. But whenever I refer to Robert Griffin, because I don't call him RG3, I will never call him RG3 ever again. I refer to him as full government of Robert Griffin III or Brittle Bob. Brittle Bob or Bobby Three Sticks is the nickname that Fred Smoot had so poignantly gave him back in around, what was that, 2013, 2014, while doing radio. And I just thought it was completely hilarious, especially his whole bit on him potentially selling peanut brittle and naming it Brittle Bob Three Sticks. It was going to be like in a package of 3 peanut brittle sticks. I thought that was hilarious.
That's outstanding, by the way.
So I salute Fred Smoot for that and inspiring me for stealing that nickname of Brittle Bob, because that's the name that I continue to use it for as right now. But now I got to address a few things. Let me start with this whole savior thing. I have to say, and I don't want to sound blasphemous when I say this, right?
No worries.
Would Jesus be considered a savior or would anybody be considered? I don't even want to use Jesus. Let me take Jesus out of this. If I saw you drowning and I come out into the ocean and grab you and bring you back oceanside, and then I pick you back up and I take you back into the water and I drown you myself. Would I be considered a savior?
No, you'd be considered the Judas. Or worse than
Exactly,
Judas.
right?
Yeah.
Because, and I use that analogy because in essence, that is exactly what Robert Griffin III did in his time here in DC as an athlete. You know, he came out, they had that wonderful run in 2012, but let's not forget they sure as hell struggled and was 5-5 before they went on that 7-game run. I'm sorry, it wasn't a 7-game run. It was a 5-game run because 6-game run because they finished the year 10-6 and ended up as a wild card.
Right.
So with that said, dude, if you were a savior, you would have been wonderful the entire season.
Right.
Oh, also one of those wins during that 5-game run, 6-game run. I'm sorry, they went. They did lose one during that time because they went 10-6 that year. When they went finished the season 5-1, one of those wins was not yours, bruh. It was Kirk Cousins.
Right.
Let's not forget that, right? So as much as you were a savior, you were still a detriment to this organization because you came back too early. You weren't ready for the next season. You had the whole ready for week 1 campaign. And I think they ended up losing that game week 1 with you starting. Yeah, let's not forget that. And then with all of the accusations of how you separated yourself from the organization and became extremely buddy with the owner, so much so that you and your parents were capable of using his private plane to go places. They had access to the locker room. Your parents had access to the locker room when a lot of other people didn't even think to bring their parents to the locker room. Now, what I'm not going to do is do what Fred Smoot did and question your manhood for the fact of you coming out with a memoir in the first place. I'm not going to do that.
Sure.
But what I am going to question is your intent for all of this stuff and what do you seem to gain out of this when, dude, you were as culpable, if not more so culpable, in this entire thing.
And that's what Shannon Sharp's whole point was. As long as he's able to admit his role in all this, because he mentioned that, your point. He mentioned his being better with the owner. He mentioned walking up into Mike Shanahan's office after his rookie year, when he won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
Wanted to play like Peyton Manning. Wanted to play like Andrew Luck.
Yeah. Well, dog, that's not your style of play. But you know what? You know what the interesting thing is? I think earlier that next season, they did try to play him in the pocket a lot. And what did he do? He failed at it.
Yes. Miserably. Because that's not his game. That's not his game.
Because that's not his game.
Right.
Shanahan, and say what you want. You could say that Mike and Kyle probably called up offenses to keep that dude in the pocket. And then there are several people who say that, you know, a lot of times when Robert would get hit, it will be because of the fact that the O-line let him down. But I will say this. A lot of the things in terms of him lying about his injury, that's on you, bruh. You confronting the head coach and telling him what style of offense that you want to play and you're not capable of playing that style of offense. And it showed when you played in Cleveland too, was your fault, bruh. The way that you was perceived by your teammates, all your fault. So a lot of the things, I just hope that you talk about everything that was your fault there when you were in DC too, along with the fact that you want to go ahead and blame whoever for your failures, Savior. Oh my God, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Savior, dude.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, but I mean, this again, I think we may have said this last week. He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson.
He was. The difference is he wasn't as confrontational about the style of offense that he was playing, and he was trusting of his coaches and coordinators.
Yeah.
Unlike Brittle Bob. That point. So that's the difference between Lamar and Robert, was the fact that, you know, oh my God, the fact that a dude in Robert Griffin that played baseball did not know how to slide. They brought in the lights.
That still vexes me. A professional athlete not knowing how to slide. That's yeah, I don't know about that. That's
extremely vexing to me. But you know what? When you don't have to slide in Baylor,
right,
that carries over to your professional playing days.
Right.
They even brought out Strasburg to come show him how to slide, and it still didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, man! We could talk all night about the failings of Robert Griffin III and how that should be the topic of discussion, rather than whatever the hell he's going to talk about in this book. Because I swear he's just probably trying to make himself look like, and to paraphrase both Fred Smoot and LeVar Arrington during that interview, he's probably coming out to try to make himself look like the victim in this, and at the same time, a savior, because he's being a whistleblower against an organization that's been taking a lot of hits, both on and off the field, in recent years, and he's just going to go ahead and try to pour on into this while making money at the same time. I guess one of the things that'll kind of be kind of counter that is if Washington continues to have the season that they're currently having now and making the playoffs in consecutive seasons for the first time in God knows exactly how long. I know one guy who didn't do it was the so-called savior in Robert Griffin III.
Right.
But I digress. So yeah, it's just very interesting that this dude is coming out with this book. But at the same time, it's also painstakingly tragic to a lot of people here in the DC area, to fans, to former players.
Yeah.
Not just players that played within the organization, but players that played with him.
Yeah. Right.
Players that played with him that had some negative things to say about him. And then, of course, local media that had some things to say about him as well. And it was very interesting that after that video dropped on social media about his announcement for the book, former beat, no, he's still a beat reporter with the team, but he also does spots on the NBC affiliate here, and he also has a local radio show here with should be Hall of Famer Brian Mitchell, JP Finley, who of course was strictly a beat writer with the organization while Robert was a player there, has connections with him, tried to reach out to him to have him come on the show the day after the announcement dropped. No one from his camp responded.
Crickets. Okay.
Very much so, right? So, this is an opportunity for you to push your book, but at the same time, you probably knew that JP was going to ask you questions that you weren't going to like. And I know someone else was going to ask him a question or two that he wasn't going to like. And that would have been one Brian Mitchell, who also, once again, is a beloved player from this organization that also loves this organization and wants to see it succeed in like the days of which he played with the team, and would have asked you the same tough questions too. And you probably wouldn't have liked that either.
Right. He wouldn't have. Spoiler, he wouldn't have liked that. That's why he didn't respond.
He wouldn't.
It's plain and simple.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up with a preview. We're going to HBCU